GJohnIkenberry, Liberal Leviathan, The Origins, Crisis, and Transformation of the American World Order. Embark on an insightful journey through the origins, success, and potential evolution of the American-led global order with the book summary of Liberal Leviathan by GJohnIkenberry. This summary delves into the dominating position of the United States since World War II and its critical role in shaping the world's political and economic systems. As you explore this summary, you will discover the intricate mechanisms that have maintained global order, as well as the unique nature of American liberal hegemony. Furthermore, gain insights on how different approaches could impact the future of international relations and the possible roles that the U.S. might adopt.
The state of the world order. The United States has been the driving force behind the liberal democratic political system that dominates the world since World War II. This stable world order was successful due to cooperative rule-based institutions and progressive Western ideas that outlasted the Cold War. However, President George W. Bush attempted to redefine the U.S.-led order in imperial rather than democratic terms. Although this recalibration was unsuccessful, questions arose regarding the stability of the system. Despite this, the focus remains on how to run the current system instead of debating its fragility. A resetting of the negotiating table is underway, involving new actors to redefine economic and political order. Principles of international power. International power is maintained through three mechanisms: balance, command, and consent. The balance arises from the self-interest of states to protect themselves, leading them to form alliances during power struggles. Command occurs when a powerful nation exercises authority over subordinate countries, creating a hierarchy based on coercion, autonomy, bargaining, and reciprocity. Consent involves creating law-based institutions, grounded in Western ideas, that check state power to cooperate with others. The U.S. has established a liberal hegemony that combines all three mechanisms to create mutually agreed-upon rules, rewards for participation, and openness to change, without relying on force or control. Rule through rules. The dominant governance strategy of liberal hegemony is rule through rules. A leading nation can maintain international order by imposing strictures or through consultative treaty bodies such as the World Trade Organization or the European Union. States limit each other's autonomy by signing mutual accords that perpetuate acceptable collective behavior. Institutionalizing power structures appeals to nations in hegemonic positions, but states must remain independent and not bargain away their power or create too many entanglements. The uniqueness of unipolarity. The U.S. has been the dominant world power since the collapse of the Soviet Union in the 1990s. The prevalence of democratic countries and the reduced use of war make it difficult for other nations to challenge the current system. The U.S. maintains its power through a range of institutions, including an open market system that invites others to participate. While unipolarity can bring benefits, it also presents the risk of policy shifts that threaten its legitimacy. Nevertheless, the current global order remains unique and challenging to replicate. The post-World War II U.S. protected economic order. The post-World War II era saw the emergence of a U.S. protected economic order built on open markets and security guaranteed by the United Nations. American leaders recognized the need to establish a new global order that included social and national security, multinational institutions, and the recognition of Western solidarity. With the rise of unipolarity, the U.S. became the world's only superpower and strengthened the democratic world built out of World War II's ashes. This summary explores how the U.S. provided an international currency, the largest domestic market, military security, and progressive reforms to contribute to stability. It also discusses how the U.S. gave meaningful help to Europe through the Marshall Plan so that the New World Order could not exist without Europe's post-war recovery. Finally, the summary discusses the establishment of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, as arguably the most important innovation in national security in the 20th century. America's unilateralism. America's global leadership drew concerns by the end of the 20th century. The September 11 terrorist attacks prompted a shift from liberal internationalism to conservative nationalism and the implementation of the Bush Doctrine. This doctrine advocated for U.S. hegemony and imperialistic characteristics while disregarding international norms and agreements. However, the Bush administration's approach was met with failure since the U.S. could not guarantee global security while shunning international input. Furthermore, the world will not support a unipolar power acting outside of an established rule-based structure. The future of international order. Today's international law system developed from a world where powerful nations balanced each other out. Although the U.S. benefited from this liberal order system, doubts arose about the country's willingness to follow international laws. The U.S. has power but lacks authority. Can countries agree on intervening in each other's affairs? How can nations benefit from international institutions while maintaining autonomy? 3 future scenarios could emerge. The U.S. could relinquish its power to supranational organizations like the UN, but the country could also insist on its central role as a global police officer. The third scenario is the fragmentation of the order into regionalism. By cooperating with others and reinforcing a mutually accepted system of rules, the U.S. will become the critical player of the global system and shape the future of international order.
As we wrap up the book's summary of Liberal Leviathan, we learn that the unrivaled position of the United States in the post-World War II era has been both integral to the establishment and survival of the liberal democratic global order. However, challenges are emerging as new actors and power centers shape today's world. The U.S. must adapt to new realities, while still maintaining its central position and advocating for its values. With the potential of China becoming a critical swing state, the time is now for the United States to reassert its commitment to international norms, strengthen global rules, and foster cooperation with other nations to maintain a stable world that thrives on mutually accepted principles.